Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Brooklyn Antiquarian Book Fair 2020 edition. We are virtual this year. I'm broadcasting live from actual Brooklyn, about 2 blocks away from where the annual fair is normally held in Greenpoint at the Exposition Hall. And unfortunately, it's completely empty today. But in one of the back rooms where we normally hold our art exhibitions, they are actually having a COVID testing clinic. So grateful that it's being put to good use. I'm very, very excited about this next talk, and I'm going to co-host or host the talk with Veronica Varlow, who we'll bring on in a minute here, but I want to share a little bit of information first. So because this is a book fair, we want to tell you where you can go to look at all the booths. There are over 3,000 books and ephemeral objects and photographs and prints for sale at brooklynbookfair.com. Follow the link to the virtual fair. There's over 225 booths. We had a preview yesterday, and today is the official opening of the fair. And many, many items have already sold, but they can still be viewed, and there's still a lot to be had. And after the interview that I do with Veronica and her presentation, we're going to do a Q&A with and open it up to everybody who's viewing. So if you have any comments, leave them in the chat box to the right of the YouTube channel. And then after we're done with the Q&A, we'll wrap it up real quick, and I will tell you about some books that are available for purchase at the fair. I'll just mention them here and tell you the booth, and then you can go and check them out. So very quickly, I just want to introduce Veronica. She is a magic practitioner. She's also currently living in Brooklyn, but her background is that her family is from Czechoslovakia, and she has a book coming out next year, a hardcover book about her journey on Harper-Collins, and that will be available internationally. And hopefully when we do the live fair next year, we'll have her back and maybe do another talk and a book signing. But for now, we named this talk actually after the title of her book, which is The Last Spells, or no, The Secret Spells of the Last Daughter. So anyway, I want to bring Veronica on now, and then have her say a few words, and then we'll get started.
Hi.
Hi, Veronica.
Hi, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about where you are and how you are in spirits these days.
Well, as you know, there's a lot going on in the world. When you were saying about next year and thinking about being in person and seeing everybody, I'm really excited to be able to celebrate and see people and be able to do an in-person thing. And at the same time, I'm so grateful that we have this technology so that we can all be together and have this learning space and get to know more about these amazing books and everything going on. So thank you so much for doing all of this work and making this happen.
You're welcome. So Neko is our producer for the entire virtual fair, or at least the live portion of it. And so at this point, Neko, if you don't mind bringing up the slideshow or the presentation, and we'll jump right in.
Yay.
Thanks, Neko. And this was the digital postcard that we have printed. I actually love that picture of you that ran in Fairy Magazine a few years ago.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that is a photo of me, and all of my magical objects are around me. So everything has a particular meaning to it. So that's why that picture was very meaningful. So lots of magic going on there.
Yeah, and before we go to the next slide, just talk a little bit about your collecting and you know how things from the physical realm, because this is going to come up with things that aren't specifically related to traditional magic, but even just everyday objects, how those things that you find or that you wear or whatever have to do with your, or can take on this kind of magical sensibility to them.
Well, I think one of the most important things about magic or the idea of witchcraft is really looking at things through open eyes and connecting with actual objects. So, for instance, like this, I have a piece right here next to me of lace from my grandmother's dress. My grandmother Helen, who she's of Czech Roma descent, and that's where I got my knowledge about the craft from. And this is one of the remaining pieces of part of lace from her dress. And all during the course of the time that I was writing this book, I wore it around my neck because it was important for me to speak the truth about the magic and her and all of the different spells. And it was interesting because I feel like having her so close to me, having a piece of her around my throat, helped me say the things that I needed to say or inspired me. And especially during this time where we're away from friends, where we're more isolated, I think it's really important to kind of have those magic talismans with us to remind us about the magic that actually does surround us, even though we can't always be physically with our friends right now. I'm wearing there's a little, this is a twine branch in a circle that David, my partner, and I made. And we gave them to the whole Chelsea Hotel coven that we do magic with and things like that to show the circle of all of us together being strong. So it's just reminders like that are all magical talismans to kind of keep us focused and let us know, like, just remind us about the magic that's around.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention real quick that last year we actually had Pam Grossman, who wrote the book Waking the Witch for Gallery Press, as one of our speakers. So it's really nice to have two people who are not only intelligent and writers, but also actual practitioners. And we'll dive a little deeper in as we go into your slideshow, how you feel that not only this practice of yours kind of came to fruition, but also, why you feel that it's, something that is applicable to today, or why it's risen in today's environment the way that it has. But for now, let's go to the next slide and take people way back.
Yay. Well, this is Grandma Helen. And this is one of my favorite photos of her. You can really see like how connected she is in her eyes in this photo. And I feel like this expresses so much of the person that she was. She was somebody who really helped me in my world through witchcraft, through that practice, through magic. And it was all things that she was taught through her family, these rituals that I'm now passing on in my book. Because I think that her rituals and her magic helped me so much. They helped me feel more confident, more directed, more like able to create the life that I wanted to lead. To give a short story, and one of my favorite stories about my grandma Helen, when I was little, I was around 6 years old, and I was getting picked on at school. Like, kids get crazy when you're little, and that's when you start learning that you're different. And I came home and I was really upset and I was crying. And my grandmother took me out. She lived on a little lagoon, and she took me out to this dock and she started brushing my hair. And it calmed me down, just the motion of her brushing my hair. And I was telling her about what happened. And I felt really sad and really lost. And she kept brushing my hair, and then she took the clump of, when after you brush your hair a bunch, the leftover hair in the brush, and it was springtime, and she put that clump of hair underneath a tiny little rock. And we sat there and waited, and I felt like, we were there for quite some time, when all of a sudden this little brown bird came and took a piece of hair and left. And then we watched as it came back and took another piece of hair and left. and kept coming back and flying back and forth because it was a springtime when birds are building their nests. And I remember that she turned to me and she said, "That bird is building a nest out of your hair. And a generation of baby birds are going to sing their first song nestled in your hair. And I want you to remember that to, when these kids are picking on you at school, you're this person that has baby birds growing up nestled in their hair." And that was something that was the kind of stories that my grandmother would give me, and those were the kind of things that she would do, so that when I felt like I had nothing, it was almost like she was raising me with this fairy tale. She was raising me on witchcraft and magic and tradition from this Czech Roma culture that really helped me have that foundation of confidence when I was growing up, so that I can take more risks and grow even more when I was getting older. So, yeah.
So because your book is called The Secret Spells of the Last Daughter, take us back and maybe even before Helen. I mean, how did she actually come about her wisdom, her knowledge, her practice, and how sort of out in the open was that kind of thing for her? And also just let me know a little bit. I mean, was she born in Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic? I don't know the timeline exactly. So maybe
It was back when it was Czechoslovakia before it changed. She was born over here. My great grandma Anna was her mother, which is where she got it from. And they came over in, like, I want to say it was like sometime in 1930, 1931. And she got it from my great grandmother Anna, and she would tell me things about her mother and traditions that her mother taught her, and just little, like, she would call them like the ways or the traditions. My grandmother Helen didn't refer to it as witchcraft, but my great grandmother Anna, who I never met before, who I didn't get a chance to meet, she taught my grandmother all of these things. And she taught her how to read the future through playing cards, for instance. Instead of tarot, the old way of doing it was with just regular playing cards. So my grandmother wasn't a out witch. She never used the word witch. It was later when I was in my early teens and I was talking to my friends about my grandmother and the things that we would do. One of my friends was like, "It sounds like your grandmother was a witch." And I was like, "My grandmother wasn't a witch," because like that was something that had this like bad connotation, like that my grandmother was like this like evil person that was doing like bad spells on people or something. And my grandmother, she worked with candles, she worked with herbs, she talked to the spirits, and it was just like something that they did. You know what I'm saying? It was just like something that she did around the house. And her friends would ask her to do readings for them after they played their poker games with the ladies over the house. My grandmother would take the cards and do tarot readings basically for her friends. So her friends knew about it, definitely. I mean, it wasn't something that we hid. When I was very small, if you want to go to the next slide, this is little me and with my best buddy Godzilla, because I wasn't into dolls. I was never into stuff like that. I loved the monsters the best. And this was my favorite. I went everywhere with Godzilla. And that was like my magic familiar when I was little. And when I was this small, my grandmother started doing things with me, practicing the supernatural. And she would take cards that were like, they would be like ET cards. It was a card game, and it would say like Reese's Pieces on one, or go home, or something like that. And I would close my eyes and put them behind my head like this. And then she would have me open my eyes, and I would look into her face, and she would say, "I'm going to send you the card that says go home. And so I would just hold, I couldn't see them, and I would hold them like this until one of my hands felt like it was just getting heavier, because my grandmother was very strong in ESP. And I was like 5 or 6, and we did every single one of the cards in that deck, and I didn't miss one. She would say what it was and I would get it. And I was like, I'm so good at this game. I finally found something I'm good at. And, you know, I remember my mom was like, maybe this isn't something you should tell like your friends at school. This is just like your grandma and you are doing this fun thing together and it's really good. I don't know if they would understand. But for me, like, I thought it was an amazing thing. I didn't think that it was something that had to be hidden, but my grandmother and I had really incredible ESP together. And that was something that, like, when I was about this small, that was the first thing she started training me on.
Let's go to the next slide, because I think this is really one of your great stories, and it totally enchanted me when I got the slide and we talked about it. And this sort of dovetails with what you were saying about not having these things be, don't tell your friends or whatever. And, this idea that it was, maybe implicit, but not necessarily explicit. And so this is my question for you, or to lead you into this slide is like, what were the things that were happening for you personally, and what were the things that were happening sort of culturally that were influencing you, that let you know this is the time, this is okay to start, bringing this out into the open and being proud.
Well, that's a really good question. It's a big question. I'll give a very um, the quickest answer I can give. I think that when major things happen in our lives, when we have a moment that is something like now that's going on with COVID everywhere and things like that, I had a major experience in my life where I was volunteering at an animal shelter and got attacked in the face in Brooklyn by a Rottweiler who ripped off my nose and nearly blinded me in my left eye. And during the time that happened, I had just, I was going to school in New York and I was working a corporate job, and I wasn't really feeling good. I thought, oh, I'm going to move to New York City and I'm going to live my dream. And that was my plan. And then I got here, and then you realize, oh, well, I got to do rent. I have to pay my bills. Like, I have to get a job. And I was kind of stuck in that corporate cycle, and was going to school at the same time. So I felt like I was really lost in my life. And then this moment happened where I got attacked in the face by the dog, and I was in the emergency room where they were putting my nose back on my face for 8 hours after that. And during that time, I couldn't be put under because I was in shock so bad. So I remember they were numbing everything, and I was staring at the ceiling, and I thought, why haven't I done the things in my life that I really truly wanted to do? Why have I kind of hidden who I am? And I realized that the reason was because I was afraid of what other people would think of me. I was afraid of, if I was going to be my truest self, if I would scare people, if I was my most powerful witch within me, if I was a burlesque performer, if I tried to do anything like that, that I would scare off people. Um, and what happened with when I really started, after I got out of that, I was like, I'm doing my life how I want to do it. And I started doing burlesque in dipping my toe into the world of New York City burlesque. And the very first gig that I got, it was amazing. It was really lucky. I mean, it feels like the stars align when we say yes to ourselves. When we say yes to the truest version of us, doors just open. And I got this gig with the designer Marc Jacobs doing a holiday party. And the only thing that we were supposed to bring was golden shoes. They had the whole costume for us already. And so I went down the street in Greenpoint to Manhattan Avenue to the old Payless shoes and picked up these golden heels. And that night, at the end of the night, they did this massive thing where all of these cannons like blew out all of this gorgeous like glitter and things like that. And I scooped it up and I put it in my shoe, because my grandmother used to say that the things that you put in your shoes, every single time you wear those shoes, you will take another step towards that thing. And I had that amazing experience at that holiday party. And I was like, this is who I want to be. I want to walk away from this corporate world and walk into this beautiful new life. And you can hide things inside your shoes. So this is a picture of that shoe and that original glitter from that party. So that's a tip for all of you out there. If you're looking to do like foreign travel, if you get a foreign coin of the place that you want to go travel to, you can tape it to the inside of your shoe. And then every single time you're wearing that shoe, you're walking towards getting to that place. So
I'm totally vibing on what you're saying. And I just wanted to kind of move on to the next slide by bringing up this idea of something that we talked about before, which is that in the greater scheme of things, you know, time is simultaneous. We experience it linearly, but as you and I were talking about the other day, time is actually happening all at once. And so this idea of walking into something or walking into your purpose or walking into your true self, you actually had told me that you thought that that was actually sort of the two kind of coalescing, and you told me this amazing story about a dream that you had and where you were. So I guess before you get to retelling that story, if you would, because I love that story, tell us a little bit about this photograph. And also, you know, you mentioned it briefly. I didn't mention it in your bio, but you are actually a burlesque performer as well. And that's one of the first times I ever saw you. You were out on the street in Greenpoint doing fire twirling, and I thought, this isn't, you know, this isn't witchcraft and burlesque for the academic set. I mean, these are people that are just out barbecuing and having beers out of the cooler, and it really impressed me how down to earth you were, despite the fact that you are a very glamorous and well-spoken person. Like, I mean, you know, I think that's one of the things I liked and related to you immediately, was that your feet seem to be on the ground. Go ahead. That's a lot of stuff, but take it away. Tell us about this picture, and please tell us about your dream.
So this is the one of the first burlesque pictures. This was my first burlesque picture, and the secret behind this is the reason my face is turned the way it is, and I'm looking over my shoulder, is because I have this massive scar on the other side of my nose from the Rottweiler attack, where it was put back together. So the light and shadow is kind of this beautiful thing, because I feel like we're all kind of made up of this light and shadow. And at that moment that this photo was taken, there was that shame about that scar for me at that moment. And I was like ready to turn into this new light, this new thing that I was ready to go do. And I didn't want to wait until it was like completely healed. I was going to just put, you know, a pound of makeup on that side of my nose so you didn't see all the horrible things or whatever. But this is, you know, it's funny because years later you look back and you think, wow, that thing that you would consider bad was something that actually ended up being amazing. It was catalyst. It was the thing that catapulted me to this next level of my life. I feel like we all kind of have to go through these moments where we have this massive obstacle in front of us. And I think that during these times, especially when, if you're watching this from home and you're kind of down or getting depressed over the state of everything that's going on right now, just remember that when it's bad in that way, this is the moment that it's like, this is the life-changing moment. This is the moment that we get to rise up and really make a difference, when you feel like you're at the lowest, or when you feel like things are going on that you just can't explain. And that was definitely where I was. And I was like, I'm ready to move forward and do my burlesque and be who I am meant to be in this world, because I don't want to hide who I am anymore. So,
Yeah. I'm reminded of that Ram Dass saying that the greater the pain, the greater the grace. And I think
mm,
he also said that pain is the gateway to transcendence.
mm,
But
so true. So true. Yeah.
can you tell me quickly again about that dream that you had with the door and the bathroom? And I swear, everyone listening, we're not about to get into bathroom humor. It's a great story.
Oh God. Okay. So let me say, it's a little bit of a complicated dream, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. So Brian and I were having this discussion about time not being linear. It you can be 5 years old, the age you are now, 80 years old, and also on the other side. And I was having an experience in my life where I was having a dream that was a nightmare, that was from when I was a teenager. And I was cleaning the bathroom, and I was stuck in this bathroom all the time, where I was like cleaning it, and I would like take the brush on the floor and just slam it into the wall. And it was something that I would find myself getting stuck in this dream all the time. So what happened in real life after having this nightmare for years and years, I went back to that actual home that exists, that I kept going to in my dream world at night. And uh, it was, I walked in, I met the person that was living there, and they said that I needed to use the restroom, and they led me around to the back. And I noticed that the bathroom that I was having like all of these nightmares being stuck in, and cleaning this bathroom, was locked. Like, it actually had a master lock on the outside of the door, which was really strange. And I thought, well, they must be like doing some kind of work or something, or maybe there was a flood in there, and for some reason they want to lock it. And fast forward to, I'm back in Brooklyn, and I have that nightmare again about being trapped in that bathroom. And I'm cleaning the bathroom, and all of a sudden, for the first time in the nightmare, a woman opens up the door and starts screaming, "Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it." And I realize that it's the woman that is living in the house currently. And I realized that she couldn't see me. So at that instant, I woke up from the nightmare, and I realized that I was actually going back and haunting at nighttime through my dreams my old house, because we know our houses, we know the places that we live so well in our minds, that I feel like when we are actually sleeping, we can transport ourselves to them and almost haunt them, not meaning to, but because we know them so well. And I couldn't help but think in that moment, is that why that master lock in real life is on that bathroom door? Is because there's this unexplained banging in that bathroom every night because I'm having nightmares while I'm in Brooklyn asleep of being stuck in that bathroom cleaning the floor. So I know it's a lot.
It's so you though, I swear. It's really a tremendous story. Next slide, please. So here we have, I don't know if this is your costume or your purpose with this, but it reminds me sort of like the phoenix rising from the flame after your experiences with, corporate and the, tough times in New York City getting started that we can all relate to, and with the dog bite and all of that. I mean, this really is a very triumphant image to me. So give me a little context here.
Well, this is when I was really starting to feel confident in myself and being a burlesque performer without shame and feeling really good about it. I started marrying that sensual nature with a sacred nature, with doing kind of goddess work, with doing, putting that all together and being this powerful, half naked, unashamed being. And I started doing fire performing during this time, and it was something that I was really attracted to. I was attracted to the power in it, and I was attracted to the beauty in it. And it's also a way, pyromancy is a way that you can tell the future through looking into flames or looking into candle flame. And that's something that my father has the ability to do. So I feel like this was just like a rising up. And what happens, I feel like, when I allowed myself, when I gave myself permission to be my truest self.
Yeah. Next slide. Okay, tell us about so this is one of your first actual Coven experiences that you put together, and this is a candle. These are your knees, I'm assuming, and this is a candle that you made?
Yeah, well, yes, this is at witch camp, and this is I do this whole group gathering normally. This is the first year we haven't done it. I do this. We're going to be doing things online, and people can find me at lovewitch.com to see things online. But this was one of our witch camps, and this is a magic candle that everyone was going to be making there during witch camp. Candle magic is one of my favorites, and I think it's for all of us, especially people that come to me and say, I want to get started in witchcraft, but I'm a baby witch, they'll tell me, or I'm not really sure what to do. I remind them that I feel like we're sometimes the strongest witches when we're little, because before people tell us how to be or what to do, when our imaginations are alive and we love, we're playing outside and we're in touch with the earth and we're using all of that imagination, is a major part of witchcraft. And the very first spell that most people do is blowing out the candles on your birthday cake and making a wish. That's a spell. That's a spell right there. Thinking in your mind what you want to make happen and blowing it out. And there's a couple things I wanted to say with this is you can put intentions on candles. You can write them even with a pencil and move the wax with it. You can write words, you can do symbols. And my grandmother believed that when you burn a candle down on this side, it burns up on the other side, so that when you're doing a candle for, say, to have more confidence in your life, as it's burning down here, it appears on the other side, so that you almost have this other side altar with all of these candles of the things you want to bring in. So it continues to burn for you. And my grandmother used to say that it would be easy for me to find her on the other side when I get there, because all I have to do is follow the trail of candles to her from all of the candles that she burned in magic during her lifetime. So, and also a quick thing, there's a big debate on blowing out candles or snuffing candles in witchcraft. And my grandmother, there's a whole thing when people say, oh my God, you blow out candles, it's supposed to be the worst thing ever and your things don't come true. Well, my grandmother would say that when you blow out a candle, the smoke goes in script to the spirits in the sky. So whatever your wish was kind of writes itself in the smoke and trails upwards to the spirits. So she was all about blowing candles out.
That's good to know. Because I don't think I've ever actually put one out with a candle stopper.
Me neither, but yeah, in the witchcraft community, people get really upset and I tell them that I blow candles out. So I just wanted to defend that right there. And the traditional Czech Roma way is to blow a candle out. So yeah.
Next slide. Okay.
This is at the Chelsea Hotel, and this is me doing mirror magic and candle magic at my friend Tony's house, Tony's apartment in the Chelsea Hotel. This is where David and I hold the Chelsea Hotel Coven. David is David Garfinkel, my partner. He's an amazing magical man and he has a whole realm that he works with. And together we created and put together the Chelsea Hotel Coven. So this is,
which I should say is where Leonard Cohen had his affair with Janis Joplin and where Nina Simone lived for many years.
yes.
And, I love this image because it looks so much like it's out of a Kenneth Anger film.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's there is a lot of, they actually had Leonard Cohen's memorial, one of his memorials in Tony's apartment in the Chelsea Hotel. One of them was there at this place where we do the coven. And there's a lot of energy in that space because it seems to be a magnet for all of these people who are poets and writers and musicians, and it seems to be a really good place to create magic with other people that are also poets and writers and magicians and things like that. So before all of this, we were doing covens every full moon. And this was one of the mirror magic things that we were doing. Mirror magic, my grandmother believed that when you look into a mirror and you look into your own eyes, it can be a portal into seeing you in your best self. If you just look into your eyes, you can kind of get to this higher form of you that can kind of lead you. Going back to what you were talking about with the time not being linear, we're the age that we are now. We're also 5, we're also 80, we're also on the other side at the same time. And who could better take care of us or lead us the right way than us on the other side? So how do you get that information, or how are you led by them? And one of the ways was by looking into your own eyes in the mirror and just connecting with your own eyes and your being, your highest self, to kind of lead you the way. And that's what that picture is all about.
And I'm reminded of the old adage that the eyes are the window to the soul.
Ah, so good. Yeah. Yeah. So good. So true.
All right. So let's officially break some hearts here, Veronica, and tell us about who this fine looking chap is and what this object is to the bottom of the screen.
Okay, so this is me and David Garfinkel together at the House of Yes in their fine bathrooms. For those of you that go to the House of Yes, they made it very magic, and we do tarot together, and we work the Chelsea Hotel Coven together. We work lots of spells and magic together, and we are getting married on Halloween. And that is actually my wedding ring, which has his tooth from when he is 12 years old. Because I thought, as soon as he showed it to me on one of our first dates, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, I really I want that so badly, because that it's part of his skeleton, and the idea of having his skeleton next to me and having part of his being next to me was far more interesting to me than having a big diamond or a big stone or something like that that didn't carry a meaning to me. So that way I could always have him very close to me. So yeah.
You're a rare bird. Next slide. Okay.
uh,
Here's where it gets big. So you've gone through this journey of sort of externalizing your dreams of being a burlesque and taking your traditions out from being something very private, and now it's in the world. And I guess this is a good time to ask you not only about bringing your magic practice into the world, but also we mentioned Pam Grossman, who wrote Waking the Witch, and we had her last year at the Brooklyn Antiquarian Fair as a speaker. This has now become a major thing in subculture and urban centers, and it's spreading out. People all over the world are coming out of the closet with regards to witchcraft and many other identities and walks of life. But tell me what it was like for you, and when that happened for you, when it really became like the central thing that you identified with.
well, I started right after the dog attack, and right when I was starting to do burlesque, I felt like I needed a support system. I felt like I needed to have some encouragement from other people, and kind of have this collective where we were all supporting and lifting each other up. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have some kind of witchy gathering or a witchy circle that we would put together? And this was, I want to say it was like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. I started a gathering in a basement downtown. And it was really nice because I loved the fact that it was in the basement, because it was like we were all these seeds of these things that we wanted to create and grow, and being in this dark basement together, and saying out loud what we wanted to have happen in our lives and how we could help each other. And we did that for years. And then I started doing witch camp, and then I met David. We started my really close friend Christy and Tony. Christy was like, we got to do that again. We should do that let's talk to the Tony. We should do this thing at the Chelsea Hotel and get things together. So we started doing covens. We started doing witch camp. I started doing, bringing, you can see from all of these photos, this is in upstate New York, this is in Woodstock. And this was a way that we could really get down in the land. We could really go outside and work our fire magic, and work, have a big bonfire, go on hikes, create crowns, work our spells and our magic together. And all of the people that you see in these photos are family to me, and people that have really supported, like we really support each other. And I've really seen a lot of growth and felt a lot of great things happen from our magic that we've all done together.
Yeah. So I'm back on now, but I didn't switch bodies or suddenly get older or nerdier. I just had to put my glasses on so that I could actually see the image. It's just about time for us to move into Q&A.
Great.
But I was curious about the caption on the Fairy magazine that said the practical magic issue. And so that's something that really interests me because it always seemed like it was sort of, I don't know, something that was not considered practical for many, many years. People had a general disdain for spiritualism and mysticism, particularly on the left, and in urban circles. The general consensus was, let's move away from too much esotericism, too much mysticism, because that's taking us backwards, and let's move forward with technology and science and allow the social sphere and the political sphere to solve our problems. But I noticed in the last 10 years a general desire for more spiritual healing, and it doesn't necessarily have to come from organized mainstream religion. In fact, a lot of people who traditionally are left or liberal or artistic are not interested in mainstream religion, but are drawn more to the occult and esoterica and magic. And it's becoming a major facet of what's happening artistically, not only in Brooklyn, but across America and across the world, really. So tell me, maybe how you think magic plays a practical role in our lives today or in the world today.
Well, to be honest, I feel like magic is the most practical thing. If we go back to, like I was saying before, like I was touching on, when we go back to when we're children, we live for adventure, for imagination, for experiencing this world. We live to be able to go outside and create whole worlds, in the mud with sticks and rocks and feel the world and the energy within them. So I feel like the majority of our life, especially now where there's so much technology and we don't have that physical sensual world, we feel lost to that. And I feel like that is one of the reasons that witchcraft is becoming such a popular thing, because it's a practice where it's personal, it's sensual, it's something that is very physical and putting your intentions into action. And it also is something that's very independent and about raising your power to create the life that you want to lead and create a world that is going to be a better place for all. And I think that that's something, with political climate, with everything that's going on in the world, I think that a lot of people are at a loss of what to do. And through the craft and magic, it's something where you can put your own personal energy to raise the good or raise the power or focus on the positive things and kind of try to pull that in.
Yeah, and I love the idea of it having a personal or independent aspect, but also you can see from these images that it also plays a social role. So what goes on inside in these transcendent or magic experiences is able to magnify out, and we're able to discover communities where we can feel safe to express and share ideas and things like that. So it's really, I think you've done an amazing job, and I'm so excited for your book.
Yeah.
We'll slide to the next one, next slide, and because we already got a little bit of a preview of that, and I believe that's your grandma Helen to the left, and
Yeah.
and that's you on
Yeah.
the beach, ukulele, looking super cool. Actually, we used to use Instagram filters and borders. No one does that anymore. I love those, actually. And I want to open it up because because I've been in the Zoom with you, unlike the other presentations where someone's just been doing it by themselves, I haven't really been monitoring the YouTube chat. And I just took a quick glance and I was like, oh my gosh, we have a lot of questions. So, let me turn to YouTube and see if I can grab some questions or comments.
Yeah, turn to YouTube. Let's stir it up. I'm going to light a cauldron.
So let me see. Tricia Sterling asks, why do people get upset about blowing candles? Is it incorporating air into fire magic, or dot dot dot, or what?
That's a really good question. I feel like what the thing about it was that if you snuff a candle, you keep the power in that under the snuffer, I guess, is the thought. I don't really actually know what the anti-blowing is about. But several times people have said to me, well, if you don't use a snuffer, then you're going to blow away your magic. And I'm like, I am never going to blow my magic away. I'm just sending it further to the stars so that the spirits can read it. So I'm not really sure about that, but I do know that blowing is totally fine. I've been using it my whole entire life, and I feel like my life is damn magic. So just it's working over here.
Yeah. By the way, I would just want to ask Neko real quick, who is our producer, if he could go split screen now between us. I'm not sure if it already is or not. I'm like working two programs here. But actually, one of the comments is, can you put Veronica full screen, or at least half screen? You have to look at my ugly mug for a little bit longer while we do the questionnaire. But yeah. So anyway. Let me see what another question is. Someone is asking, Kay Walsh is asking, when is your book coming out? That would have been an obvious question for me to answer before we even began.
Well, I think in the very, very beginning, you did say the book is going to be coming out internationally in fall of 2021. And I'm hoping to see all of you all over on a book tour as I'm going around doing that. And that's going to be with Harper-Collins. And the book is going to be called Secret Spells of the Last Daughter, because I'm my grandmother's last daughter, and the magic is passed down through the women in the family, and I'm the last one that has all of this. So I'm passing it on to all of you in the book.
And we're actually having a question or a dialogue between a lot of the different people that are watching and chatting.
Oh, good.
That they want to swap emails with each other, and there's actually a little online coven that's happening right here, right now. So
Yay! Oh, that makes me so happy. It's really that makes me so happy. I can't wait to jump on the YouTube, and I'll be able to see all of you guys over there too.
Brooklyn Mavis asks, how do you deal with people who insist your way of magic is the quote unquote wrong way?
That's a really good question. I think that magic and witchcraft is extremely personal. And I think that if somebody is going to tell you that it's the wrong way to do things, you just don't want to listen to that at all. I feel like even so much as going over candle colors, like there's some people that say you can only use a green candle for a money spell, you can't use it for a growth spell, or you can't use a gold candle for a money spell. And I'm just like, I've never understood that. I think that magic is extremely personal. And I think what's beautiful about magic and witchcraft is that there really aren't any rules. Obviously, I will say this for me, is that I do not hex. I do not believe in hexing. I don't believe in putting bad energy out, because I know that it comes back. I know that whatever we focus on comes back to us. It's just how the world works. So I focus on the positive things, and I do things in my own way. And I feel like it's very important that I think that rule is very important. But besides that, I think that you need to summon up your own power. The spells you write yourself are the most powerful spells that there are. The spells that come from your heart I'm happy to guide people to show them how to do things. And I'm happy to give them kind of a structure on it. And that being said, I think that if you're feeling about using some candle and you want to snuff it, you want to blow it, you want to do whatever you want to do with it, I say go for it. So I just don't really pay that too much mind because once again, don't want to put my energy where in the negative realm. So I'm just like, okay, cool. That's good. You do it how you want to do it. I'm going to be doing my thing over here, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I like your intensely casual attitude about it, but it does also kind of drive home the point that I don't often hear made about witchcraft and magic, which is that it is, a contrast to orthodoxy, and so it would make sense that you don't go from orthodoxy into something more personal and more esoteric, and then start applying, hard and fast rules to that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, we're the outcasts. We're the outliers. We're the like bohemian artists and musicians and poets, and we're the ones that when you don't make the rules, you find the coolest paths. Like you like do your own things, finding, if it, like David always says, he asks why all the time. Like if I tell him how I do something, he'll say, "Well, why do you do it that way?" And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I never thought about that because my grandmother taught me how to do it this way. And then we try to open it up to new possibilities by asking why. So it's really fun doing it that way, I think. So I'm all about doing it your own personal way.
yeah. Nicole P asks, aside from the classes and workshops that you offer, what are the other ways you share your magic with others in everyday situations?
Mm. Well, I'm
I think
on
it's kind of happening here. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's
That's beautiful. You can follow me on Instagram. I just turned the full draft of my book in, so I wasn't on Instagram as much, and I'm going to be on it way more now. And you can find me there at Veronica Varlow, which is VeronikaVarlow. So at Veronica Varlow on Instagram, that's where I put a lot of things. So, and I'm going to continue to be putting things like that on there.
I'm going to do one more question, and then unfortunately we have to wrap it up. There's a lot more coming in, but Annika Kushner asked, any baby steps for people wanting to bring more magic spiritualism into their life, someone who doesn't have any experience? And we had another question by Angie S, who it was kind of the same thing about not growing up with that experience or having a lot of experience with it. What's your recommendation for cracking open the door?
This is fantastic. Well, like I said before, both of you or all of you that are thinking about toe dipping into this and starting out, just remember that you have in your core and your foundation from when you're little all that imagination, and you already have so much that you're not giving yourself credit for. So I have a friend, my friend Pia always says, all you need for a spell is a match and an intention. So I would say that if you're looking to bring something into your life, getting candles, even birthday candles, getting something like any kind of candles that you can light with intention and kind of sit there and talk out loud and say, this is what I would like help on. Your ancestors, the spirits that watch over you, your guides are always there as your helpers. That's what my grandmother believed, and it's what I believe. So anytime that you want to kind of have a phone call with them or get some good energy, or I like to light candles. That really helps me. Or even writing a positive word on the side of a candle, or writing your name on the side of a candle with a knife, be careful though, or a toothpick or something like that, and like get a beautiful candle that makes you happy, and then light it up, have a conversation, and then when you're feeling really good, just like blow it out, and that all of that goes to the sky. Make sure you do taking an action is important. So taking action also with doing intention is very important.
I want to read one last comment
Okay.
before we wrap it up, and let me see where it is.
This is so much fun to do. I'm so
Uh,
grateful for all of you being here. I'm grateful for you for taking the time and doing this, Brian.
you're welcome. You're a gem. That's all I'll say. It's been really amazing talking to you, and I always enjoy every conversation we have. But doing it out here live, I don't know. There's just feels like it's been elevated to the next level of our dialogue.
Yay.
Um, but we had a few. One Alexandra Stott says, "Veronica, you are beautiful inside and out," and there was another one that was very similar that I really liked a lot. And it, but I can't find it. Anyway, it says, Veronica, you are truly a beautiful person, and I can't wait for your book to come out. And I can't think of a better way to end it, because I can't wait for your book to come out and get my signed copy.
Yay. Yay. And then hopefully we'll be doing this in person and live, and I'll get to hug all of you next year. So that will be really good.
Thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody on the YouTube channel. I can't wait to see all of you later.
Okay, stay on, but we're going to put back to me because I actually have to say a few things about the fair.
Great.
And then the video will end. I just wanted to let everybody know that there are some books at the fair that are for sale that are related to witchcraft and fortune telling and whatnot. One is called Curiosophy, The Hand by A. Raphael from 1901, and that is in booth 59, Sandra L. Hoekstra Books. Another is three letters written by Harry Houdini in Schulson autographs from booth 191. And now I would encourage everybody, we have a half hour until our next talk, which is with Michael Horse, aka Deputy Hawk from the cult TV show Twin Peaks. God, I'm getting my words all messed up now, speaking too fast. But I would encourage you all to go to brooklynbookfair.com and visit the virtual fair. We have over 225 virtual booths and over 3,000 objects. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Come back at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time for Michael Horse's interview. And thank you once again to Veronica Varlow for an enchanting and wonderful interview.
So good. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.